So what's the most you would ever spend on a firearm?
What kind of firearm?
The most I'd ever spent on a gun would be depending on what its capabilities were. Depending on what talks to you and what means a lot to you, I mean, I'd be willing to spend whatever, you know, whatever made sense for that.
Depending on what I'm using it for, maybe like $1,000, like $1,000.
How much do you think this gun is?
That thing is beautiful.
$1,000. 15,000.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with, I don't know, 3,500.
35,000.
$50,000? Oh my gosh.
How much do you think this gun's worth? This gun.
Since I've been on fire. Goodness gracious, I'm gonna go with 18,000, I don't know.
I'm gonna give you 2 more shots.
Higher or lower?
It's higher.
I would say 10 grand.
28,000?
Keep going.
50 grand.
Let's go with 75,000.
Not even close.
$1 million? They're pretty.
These grips are made from literally made from a meteorite that hit the Earth. Anytime somebody knows a gun owner that has a lot of guns, they immediately want to ask them, what's their favorite gun? Don't do this. It's like asking a parent who has 5 kids, which kid is their favorite. Me personally, I still don't know which is my favorite gun, but I do know and probably could tell you a lot easier which is the most valuable to me. So the first gun in my collection of most valuable guns is gonna be my HK MR556. I love everything about this rifle, even how heavy it is. I love this Geisley rail that I put on it. I love the slimline buttstock. I love these grips. When I actually go out and I shoot this gun, I get the best experience of shooting with this gun than I do most any other guns in my collection. For some reason, I have this desire to buy HK rifles and build them up to spec with respect to how they're used in military applications. I love this thing. The second gun on my list, my AK-47, highly customized by Rifle Dynamic. This was the very first rifle I ever bought. When I first bought this rifle, I had a lot of plans for it. I knew exactly what I wanted it to look like. It took some time to get it to the point where you see where it is now. Above and beyond it just being my first rifle, but it is an AK-47, and there's something just incredibly organic about an AK-47 that you quite don't get with an AR-15. The AK-47 just had these quirks and this kind of beautiful flaws that make the gun what it is today. Not very many people buy AK-47s, but the people that do know exactly why they buy them. The third gun in my list of most valuable guns in my gun collection is going to be my Wilson Combat Beretta 92 Brigadier. I grew up watching Die Hard. I remember seeing this gun in the Die Hard movies. So I grew up basically thinking anytime I thought gun, this is the image that came to my mind. As I started to grow in my gun enthusiasm, I always wanted to buy a Beretta 92. The gun feels totally different from any Beretta that I've ever held in my hands. The way the grips feel in my hand is dead on, it's perfect. The way the gun sits in my hand, dead on, it's perfect. Working the slide, it's silky, it's smooth, I just love it. I've always been a fan of Wilson Combat grips for whatever reason, especially the Starburst grips, but I absolutely love these grips on the 92. You've probably never heard of Rob Bianchin. He looks and sounds more like a history professor than a builder of some of the world's best firearms. But he's the founder of a small upstart business called Cabot Guns. And to put it simply, he isn't making firearms for you and me to own, as much as he's making them for you and me to dream about owning. The car world has Bugatti and Lamborghini. The watch world has Patek Philippe and Rolex. And now the gun world has Cabot. I went out to his factory in Indiana to see his latest and most insane creation. A pair of 1911s hand-fashioned out of real, honest-to-God, meteorite.
We've been building the 1911 for 100 years. What more can really be done, which is transformational, push the boundaries? This past year, a big project was a set of guns we called the Big Bang pistols. We constructed a right and left-handed set of 1911s, fully functional, from 4.5 billion-year-old meteorite.
There's something incredibly baffling and awesome about that in the same breath.
Yeah, no, I mean, honestly, it was one of those ideas, right, where you're pushing the limits. Well, what can you be done? And I remember we're debating that, how do you go to that next level, right? So precious metals, right? You think, yeah, gold, you're too soft. There's incredible super alloys, but people don't know what they are, right? You could do engraving. I love engraving, but it's been done, right? Jewels, you know, I could put $1 million diamond on a gun, and it's $1 million gun. So this concept of meteorite. So it started this quest, and then the quest started, well, what meteorite, what would work? And that whole path, which was a giant adventure, just even finding a meteorite. The meteorite trades by the gram, by a whole secondary market of guys that are the most eccentric bunch of people. And I mean them the best possible way you've ever met. But these are guys fascinated with space, and they'll chase meteorites all around the world, acquiring them. So I searched the market really aggressively, and the right opportunity came up, which, if you can imagine, as a small business, when you're writing a very large check for a rock, it might be one of the stupidest things you could ever imagine. Working with meteorite is completely seductive. You know, the notion of it, the romance of it, the idea, right, is mind-boggling. It's the big questions. So we did that, but in crafting the guns, it wasn't just on making a mechanical gun, but how do you honor the material, right? And the hallmark aesthetic characteristic is the Wiedemann satin pattern, which is like a crystalline structure. And that is art
In and of itself.
in of its own. And it's created by the slow cooling of that meteorite, a few degrees every million years. So there's a beauty to it, right? We felt a great obligation to also do something that would honor the material, but to show meteorite in an artistic fashion, never been done before.
So maybe you're wondering, if this guy makes guns worth more than your car, and in some cases more than your house, why is he on your show? Simple. In an industry that is all too willing to live inside the guns have only one purpose box that the anti-gunners built for us, Rob offers something different. His work is rewriting the rules for what guns mean, and therefore, what they're worth. Maybe you have no use for a 1911 made out of meteorite. And even if you had a few million lying around, maybe you would still find no use for anything beyond what you need to get the job done. That's fine. But as people who genuinely care about defending the Second Amendment, it's our responsibility to be open-minded about new ideas that could ultimately lead to new people fighting by our side. I will probably never own a gun worth $4 million, or whatever those crazy meteorite guns end up going for. But I love the fact that they exist, because the only way a firearm could ever sell for that much money is if there is a market that appreciates them for more than what they do, but what they represent. That is progress. I don't need to fire another gun in my life. I don't need to hold one, don't need to see one.
Cancel the show.
I quit. You know what? I don't care if you're anti-gun. I don't care if you hate guns. I don't care if you tell me you'll never buy a gun under any circumstance. If God forbid you find yourself in a life-threatening situation, if an ex-boyfriend has you pinned to the bed with his hands around your neck, if you're in Paris and your life is on the other end of a terrorist trigger, I guarantee you I could sell you a $400 gun for every penny that you're worth. Because in that moment, you realize one thing. It's not that you love guns, it's that you love life. So think about that for a second. The last and final gun in my collection of most valuable guns is the MVP Predator from Mossberg. The reason why this gun holds so much value to me is because they customized this gun exclusively for me. You can see here, they've embossed it with my Noir logo for the show. When I went and visited the Mossberg facility in Eagle Pass, Texas, while we were walking around, I made it known very loudly that I really love this gun. It meant a lot to me to have them build a custom gun for me, especially considering that they are a sponsor of this show, and it means a lot to know that they are just as proud to be part of what I'm doing as and to be a part of what they're doing. That's why my MVP Predator from Mossberg is number 4 on my most valuable guns in my gun collection. So here we are, 4 of the most valuable guns in my collection. Now, before I pick the most valuable gun in my collection, I want to reiterate and I want to stress, this is about value, my personal value, the way the gun makes me feel, what it does for me. It's a little bit more complex than just saying, oh, this is my favorite gun because it is the greatest gun on the planet. So with that being said, it's gonna have to be my AK-47, customized by Rifle Dynamic. I mean, it's my very first rifle. I will always look at this thing and remember the days of sliding it under my bed in that shitty case that I had, trying to hide it from my mother, and then watching where this rifle went from being your just standard garden variety Arsenal SGL 21, and then sending it off to Rifle Dynamic and having them bring it back looking like this. I love this thing. I mean, I love all of these guns on this table, but this gun is the one that really speaks to me every time I see it, every time I bring it out of the safe. So this is the most valuable gun in my collection. Now I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what's the most valuable gun in your collection. So I'm going to start a hashtag called MVG, most valuable gun. Tag that and let me know what's the most valuable gun in your collection and why, what that gun means to you. So I look forward to seeing what you guys have to post. Thank you for watching. Stage 2 is pistol only. Purple targets are no-hit targets, so it's a 3-second penalty if you hit them. Shooter 1 remains behind the orange pillars for the first 4 target groupings, either 5 hits on a dueling tree or 6 hits on a pie plate draft, and 2 hits on all 10 white silhouette targets. Shooter 1 then runs between the pillars to shoot through the stacked tire at the final 3 target groupings, 2 of the 4 poppers, 2 hits on 3 white silhouettes, and finally 1 hit on the swinging target. Shooter 1 then runs back and hands off a full magazine to Shooter 2, who will run the exact same course. Shortest time wins.
Shooter ready. Stand by.
Shooter, nod when ready. Stand by.
Yeah. Okay, magazine.
Shit. Oh boy. Other mags.
All right, so episode 5.
We're back.
Lay it on me.
What were you saying when you were on the street in Vegas?
Essentially, basically what I was saying was, you can not like guns all you want, but in the moment that you need one, you love the fact that you had one. And it's not because you love guns at that moment, but it's because you love your life.
Value life. Yeah, I wasn't sure how I felt about that when you said that. Because, you know, I've never been put in a situation where I've been tested in that way.
Do you have to be? Do you seriously think from an ideological standpoint that you would choose your ideologies over your life in that moment?
Actually, perhaps, if I'm getting getting Socratic about
You'd
it.
You'd be a martyr
to my beliefs. You know, in a situation where I'm confronted by a would-be attacker or something like that, I like to think that I would be able to de-escalate the situation, even if he did pull a gun on me. And, you know, maybe emptying my wallet might be the price of doing that. But
until it's not, then what?
Well, what? Here, dude, here's my wallet. What, you're gonna shoot me now? I really don't think that
you don't think that happens? It happens all the time.
Every day.
No, it actually does happen every day.
And do people die?
As much as we love to mock it, it happens all the time.
Like people die, like get
people
robbed
die.
and-
19.
Wait, are we living in reality here? No, but why are we questioning this? We know this happens.
Yeah, but still, what you said on the street in Vegas, you know, I mean, yeah, it left me questioning, right? Like, how do I feel about that? Where, and I'm still not quite sure where I come down on the line there. I mean, I don't own a gun. I don't feel I need to own a gun.
It's this simple.
And I've never been in a situation which made me say, geez, I wish I could reach for a piece right now.
Let me just put it in perspective.
Peace, nice.
You familiar with Virginia Tech?
Yeah.
The guy walked into the school, he chained the doors after he changed the doors, walked into the school, walks into a classroom, and just starts shooting people randomly inside the classroom. Mm-hmm. At that given moment, if I could sell you a gun for all the money you had in your bank account right now, are you telling me that you would not buy that gun from me? The fact that you have to think about that startles me.
Yeah, I do have to think about that. But you're right. I mean, I'm talking about something that I believe in as much as you passionate believe.
But you just got through saying you weren't anti-gun. Why is that even a question?
Well, I mean, I'm not anti your right to own a gun. Mm-hmm. But for me, you know, I guess I'm kind of waxing philosophical somewhat. But I've never been in a situation that would ever make me say, I need a gun for self-protection.
I'm not asking you if you have been. I'm asking you if you ever were.
So all right, so let me be clear on that. I can't see myself in that situation.
So are you telling me right now that if your family were in danger and you knew that having a gun could stop that situation, you wouldn't use that gun to stop it?
I don't know that a gun could stop that from happening. I don't know that.
No, I just gave you the circumstance. The gun,
that's a hypothetical circumstance.
No, it's not a hypothetical circumstance. People deal with it every day.
Listen, I'll be the one, yes, yes, and yes. If it comes down to you or me, you better say your goodbyes. Like, if it comes down to you or me, if it comes down to me in this moment of being able to save my life with a weapon, I will give you all the money in my account and my mother will PayPal you hers. Like, I want my gun and I want to make this not be a thing anymore. I don't care, I have no problem with saying that.
I can't.
Totally fine. Morals be damned.
I got to stay with my position on this.
You're a good man.
I've never seen myself in a position where I would ever consider taking someone else's
bullshit.
There's no way.
I really do.
Believe you. I don't believe you.
I have to call BS.
I don't believe you. You need more people. Don't believe that. I don't believe that.
Well,
so let me get this straight. What exactly are you grappling with right now in terms of having a gun in that situation to deal with the issue at hand, knowing that is the best tool for your defense at that moment? What would you do in the case of Virginia Tech if you were in that classroom?
It's okay, I mean, you can say it.
Here's the thing. Do I have to end a person's life?
No. See,
that's not what he said.
I think that's the thing though that people that have misconstrued. Me owning a gun isn't about me wanting to take someone's life. It's wanting to stop you from taking mine.
Yeah.
That's it. So if
that means ending someone else's life,
no,
as opposed to having mine ended,
then
I mean that's really like the ultimate.
I said it before, and I'll say it again. I rather deal with being on my therapist's couch talking about how I can't sleep at night than to be in a grave. I'm sorry. I just would.
All right. All right, Colion. all right. I think I'm getting there, and that I can see that. Would I value my life
and the other people
over
in your
someone
life
else's
that you
and be prepared to take it in defense of my own?
I'd be quicker to react that way in regards to someone else. Like,
most people are. That's the interesting thing.
Anyone jeopardize my mother, like that's.
Yeah. No question
on
asked.
site.
Most people,
there's no discussion.
when you ask them about what are they more willing to use a gun for, in what instance are they more willing to use a gun? In protection of themselves, most people aren't as adamant about it. When it comes to other people that they love and care about,
because you don't want to take that risk. Because when it's a risk with your life, you can weigh that. You can admit it. You can kind of allocate that risk. But when it's someone else's life, I can't. No risk is acceptable. So I get that.
I think that if and when I do own a gun, and I have in the past, it would probably be less emphasis on I'm keeping this in my house for my own protection, and more because I wanted to get good at shooting, take it to the gun range, use it.
And which is admirable.
And more about the machinery and the artistry of the device.
Well, I think this episode was like definitely a good example of that, like the artistry behind it. Like I always make fun of you for calling a gun sexy, but while we were watching, like there was one gun I was like, bro, that's kind of sexy.
Okay.
You know what's funny about that?
That was kind of a nice gun.
Here's the thing about the kind of like you making fun of me about that in regards. I get it.
Yeah.
Like I don't like I hear you do it, and I'm not. And it's like I get like for instance the meteorite gun. I'm completely blown away by it because I'm a geek in that regard. Like for me, I'm just a geek. So I'm just like
this is older than life itself.
Yeah, it's been hurtling through space, and now it basically was a projectile, and now it's been turned into something that launches projectiles. I think that's just cool.
How do you put a value on something like that? A gun made from a material so rare that. You got to hunt the world over to find it.
It only cools like 2 degrees a year or something
Every million years.
Ridiculous.
Like I said, I was done. I quit. I'm done. I've done it all at that point.
Yeah.
I touched the meteorite gun, but
you won.
I love the way we're gonna end it though on this on her phrase that she's repeated 8 times. It was sexy. Let's do it again.
It was super sexy.
So at the end of the day,
I liked it.
Say it again.
It costs what it costs.
It just costs what it costs.
It costs what it costs.
All right. So.
Score 1.
Till the next episode.
Agreed.